So as I was just saying, tonight's talk is what we at the Lower Columbia Canoe Club would consider a safety talk. And because I know she'll watch this video, I want to just give a little shout out to our safety chair, Teresa Greider. Teresa historically has organized all of the safety talks for the club, but today she was having a surgery, a hip replacement surgery, so that she will no longer be in excruciating pain when she tries to get into her kayak. So I want to thank Shannon Crosswhite, who is a longtime member of the Lower Columbia Canoe Club and someone I respect very much and look up to very much as it relates to paddling in particular, life in general. There's a few groups, right? We're all members of the Lower Columbia Canoe Club, or we're members of the OKCC, the Oregon Kayaking Canoe Club, and we've got the WKCC. There's also a group on Facebook called PDX Girl Kayakers. So there's all these different groups and ways in which you can learn more about paddling. And I don't know, Shannon, I think it was like, well, it was pre-COVID because we were gathering in person. So probably 4 years ago now, some of the ladies who were in the PDX Girl Paddlers group started doing conversations around safety. And one of the conversations we had one day was around, what do you keep in your life jacket? And I went to it, and Shannon was the one who led that discussion, and she did a great job, and she changed my habits with regard to what I took with me on the river. And so tonight I asked Shannon if she would just give us a quick rundown. And by the way, if you don't have your life jacket, you might grab it, or at a minimum, just do a little bit of an inventory in your head about things that you know that you keep in your life jacket. And Shannon's going to just walk us through what's in her life jacket. I think, Shannon, we said you're going to do first just kind of day to day, you know, a run you might do this weekend. And then we'll also have a discussion about things that you take on the river in your life jacket when you're doing bigger trips.
Yeah, so my day-to-day PFD, maybe what I would take on a self-support trip in my PFD, maybe what I carry in my day bag, and then items that I may take on a particular run that are just kind of one-offs that I'm like, oh, well, there's a tree. We have to get around the tree. Might take a belay device with me.
Okay, perfect. So with that, I'm just going to hand it over to you. And I would say I can keep an eye on the chat. So if folks, you know, have an urgent question that has to be answered, I can flag it for Shannon. But otherwise, we might just keep questions to the end of each section.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sitting here I've decided that I don't like where my whistle is on my new PFD. So I was like trying to quickly redo it, but I'll finish my water knot later. So I use a rescue PFD, and we all should have a whistle on our PFD. Some come with the cow tail, or you purchase the cow tail. I took mine off, so I actually don't carry a cow tail on my PFD. Let's say my self-support PFD has one, but my day-to-day does not. I carry a piece of webbing that I can use to tow with, but I don't have that particular item on my PFD any longer. And that was more of a way to make sure I don't put myself in trouble by hooking onto a fully loaded boat that's full of water and try to tow it somewhere. So my PFD does not have its cow tail, but I have a whistle, and I carry my river knife inside my PFD. So, and it's just a folding pocket knife. And unfortunately, I do need to replace it. Its housing is broken, but for the time being, it works. It's not very big. It's enough to cut. It's got a serrated blade with a pointed end to it. So I used to carry a PFD or river knife on my PFD up here, but I got hung up with it swimming one day. And so it immediately came off of my PFD. So I carry it inside my PFD now. So Have a bar because everybody gets hungry. So I wear earplugs and I have custom earplugs. So those are in there. I have my ski style because I'm a woman in a men's dry suit. So this is my lanyard, or my, I guess it's 15 feet of webbing. When I was in Italy, we did this in a round table scenario before we went on the river. What's in your PFD? And so everybody went through and told everybody what was in theirs. And the Italian guides all carried these 15 feet of webbing. I think it's like 4 meters. I can't, metric and imperial mess me up. So I carry this. It can be used as a short throw rope. It could be used to drag your boat. I also carry one around my waist that has a beaner on it. This one doesn't have a beaner because my pocket doesn't have enough room, but it's a good thing to have. This one is Palm, made by Palm. It has a loop sewed in the end of it. So the one that's in my self-support doesn't have a loop in it, but you can easily tie a loop in the end of it. So almost as good as duct tape, zip ties. So good for fixing a shoe, fixing a backband. And you never really know, and they're so small, why not carry them? So what else is in this particular PFD? I have a Ziploc or a vacuum sealed Sharpie. I took a woofer, probably my second year of kayaking, maybe my third. I called in sick from work. The entire week. I mean, it's an entire week. So called in sick, went and took it because I was like, well, I'm playing outside. I might as well be a little bit knowledgeable of what I'm doing out there if something were to happen. So I tried carrying the Sharpie without the vacuum seal. That didn't work so well. So it's vacuum sealed. This could also be in a bag. Take a woofer, your choice. It's just good to have a little bit of background in first aid when you're out there. So, gloves and a rebreather. So that's another part of my little first aid. So these are just ones. I don't always carry my first aid kit on a day run because we're mostly roadside, but I'm also paddling with other people. So Sunday we got to the river and I had taken my breakdown paddle out of the back of my boat so someone could use my paddle because they forgot theirs a couple weeks prior. So I asked my group and I was like, hey, who else has a breakdown? And 2 people said yes. And I put mine back in the car and didn't carry it because I knew I had other people. So paddle wax, I don't use it often, but it's good to have if you need it. It's not I wear pogies, so in the winter I definitely don't use this, but I was glad I had it for the guy that had to borrow my breakdown paddle because that paddle was slimy because it had been living in a bag inside my boat and it'd probably been 6 months since I pulled it out. So that's my day pack. Oh, stick of sunscreen. And a rock.
Shannon, do you have anything in the, or does that PFD even have side pockets?
This one does not have side pockets.
Okay, so you're entirely up front.
Entirely up front. It's got great division. It's got, this is the Descent, the Stolquist Descent.
Okay.
It's the newer one. So, but it's got 4 small pockets, 1 big close to the body pocket, and then this open cavity.
Okay.
So it all fits pretty nicely in there.
Got it. There's a little bit of conversation in the chat, so I just want to call out some of the comments that are being made. So Ian, I think it was saying he gets a little worried about carrying, well, actually, first off, Victor, who's with us, is European, and he says, good job, Shannon, 15 feet is 5 meters, so you did a good job. And that they do indeed in Europe carry webbing in their PFDs. And then Ian was, and then you, and when you were talking about that, you made the comment about how you also have webbing with a beaner around your waist. And Ian was curious about the relative safety of doing that. There's discussion pro and con about whether or not, it's a good idea to carry it around your waist. There's been a few responses on the chat, but what's your general feeling about carrying it around your waist?
So I wear, what is it? The Meridian Coquetat dry suit. So it has that, so you have your tunnel. So it's tucked up under that neoprene waistline. So it's not exposed. Like I said, I used to carry my little bear claw knife right here on my PFD. And I was swimming once and I got turned upside down or got face down in the river, and this hung up on something. So now I'm face down in the water with something hung. So I don't want anything hanging off of me. The cowtail, if I were to wear the cowtail, I'd have to have that beaner all the way up here, just so that all of that elastic rope isn't loose. I don't paddle in a green vest because it doesn't fit me. So, but they have those nice side pockets because I'm in a descent. It's just a different style of PFD, and it doesn't have a way to secure that cowtail. Does that answer?
Yeah, I think it does. And others were saying the same thing, that they tuck it under their tunnel. Jerry Malloy, good on you. He is mentioning that you've got one more thing on that life jacket. You have a watch.
Oh, you're right. I do. I always forget about my watch, but then I'm always looking at it. It's currently in daylight savings time. You're right. I do have a watch, and I think everybody should have a watch. And this is just a $50 Timex Ironman. I think my last one lasted 5 years. It never leaves my PFD unless, I mean, it gets switched to another PFD, but it's always on my PFD. You're right.
Yeah. Great.
It's purple, it blends.
Victor is saying that he has a green jacket and can show the side pockets and so on, and show the difference at the end of the meeting. And I just want to say that sounds fantastic, Victor. We look forward to it.
Yeah.
Shannon, okay, so that's a day trip.
Yes.
Roadside, more or less.
More or less. Roadside, more or less. Okay. So I'm not going to put this thing back on. Yeah, PFDs are actually kind of sweaty if you sit in them.
Inside.
Inside. So I have that same piece of webbing tucked into my pocket. So what PFD is this? This is the Ronin rescue vest. It's got 2 big pockets. They're on top of each other. So this one, the webbing it just rolls up and has a beaner on it. And I tuck it in there. And this one has another pocket knife. It's a little beefier pocket knife because this one's more likely to slice my cheese or spread my peanut butter. I carry a light stick there's been lots of times to use it. Like we have to leave a boat and hike out, leaving a glow, if we're going to try to come back for it at night, leave a glow stick on it. I don't know if I would go with this fancy one. This is one I got at REI. It's LED. So, but if I'm going to be out in the woods for 3 days, I think I still want it with me, just so if we have to leave something behind and we're coming back for it that night, or if I need to be seen because I swam and lost my boat and I'm walking down the trail alongside the river, I have something that someone can identify me in the dark with. So I would obviously still have a bar, my earplugs, my P style. I'd also carry a water purifier. And I've been wrestling with different sizes, but I think this is the one I've come to. It's the Sawyer. I would carry a Ziploc bag or one of the bags that they come with and a straw. And just so I have a way to drink water. If I've just watched my sleeping bag, tent, and food and everything go downstream, this happened to a friend of mine. This kind of is new to me, thinking that I want this stuff on my person. Because when I don't boat alone. I have 4 or 5 people with me. So obviously there's going to be other things, but I think for my personal sake, my personal mindset, I would want to have water purifier and a couple bars. So what I would probably do, and I talked to a couple kayakers that do first descents, and they said when they were kind of out doing a run in Russia, she put a rescue blanket and an extra bar inside her dry suit down by her ankle, where it's not going to interfere with your boating. So you just had a little extra security. If something were to go wrong, you still had that and you could make your way downstream. So that is that. I haven't mentioned headlight because I carry that in my bag that I carry in my lap, which I don't know. A lot of people might question me on the carrying it in my lap. It's not secured to me. It's secured to the boat on like a prusik. So it's out of my way if I come out of the boat. But I could also tether it behind my seat. It's just where I've become accustomed to carrying it due to weight distribution on a self-support trip. It sits over top of my throw bag between my legs. It's secured to the boat, not me. So, yeah.
Did you say headlamp? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So I have had a few runs where we've had to put our headlamps on to get off the river.
Got it.
Due to an accident that occurred, someone ran a drop, gave themselves a concussion. We had to get them back together. We had to get the boat. We continued downstream, obviously at a slower pace, taking care of our buddy. And in the winter, daylight goes fast.
Yeah.
So we didn't expect, obviously, to have that happen.
Got it.
So,
well, Shannon, I love the reminder really that, you know, particularly when you're wearing a dry suit, you have more places to put things than maybe you realized. You know, our safety chair, Teresa, is constantly putting her hat, you know, like her beanie in her, you know, dry suit pant leg so that it's there for her at the, you know, takeout when she's done. But I always forget to do that. Use
yeah.
that.
Michael does. Michael carries an extra head heater when he goes play boating. Like he'll wear one, but he'll carry an extra one in case someone else gets cold. So
yeah, Brian Johnson just said inside the dry suit is a new idea to me. It's I mean, just you're welcome.
It's all like you can.
Yeah, your whole, like from your knee to your shoe, you can put a lot of stuff. And then Ian says, I really need to better prepare. Should I accidentally be stuck on the river in the dark? I've come close before. Yes, that's exactly why we're having this conversation. I want to cycle back to Victor, but I want to reward those of you who, you know, read the note about bringing your life jacket. You don't actually have to prove it to us that you have something else in your life jacket. But do maybe just pop into the chat. So I'm seeing, oh, now it's getting exciting. Sue says, we've been talking about radios, even on a local run when the group is large, to be sure the sweep can contact the lead if they are out of sight and something happens. Or useful if somebody is walking and can't see the group on the river.
That's a great idea in theory. The Canyon Creek race, if any of you guys remember that.
Yeah.
We lost a radio.
Oh.
One went in the drink. So, I mean, I wouldn't spend a lot of money on them. These were pretty expensive radios that we had to But I mean, if you want to keep track of the sweep, it should always be line of sight. Like the person behind you is still got line of sight of the person behind them, and then you can signal forward. I guess would be my recommendation versus a radio.
Yeah, try not to put yourself in the position where you need a radio. Gloves in the dry suit are a good idea if you use photos without gloves. Christy says, I bring the smallest headlamp for caves we might paddle into, and in case we end up being out late. And I saw another one. Oh, hand and foot warmers. Sue mentioned. Oh, Jerry, yeah, great. Cigarette lighter or some other way to start a fire.
So if you bring, oh, I haven't even gotten to that. I don't normally carry, I carry a flint in my PFD. It currently is out because there is a better size than this monstrosity. So I have 3 different sizes. So I have this one tiny little guy. This one's even smaller, which is got a striker and then the flint. So Vaseline soaked cotton balls in a vacuum sealer. Where is it? These little guys. These were face wipes that were soaked with cotton or with Vaseline.
Are you saying you'd light those on fire? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Oh, I have a dear friend who is like the survival dude. So we did this run and it was the Sultan. It's choked full of wood. But I helped him out and then he like rewarded me with all these crazy, like a jar of alcohol, hand sanitizer, because that burns. That Vaseline soaked. These are actually have wax in them, but these are Vaseline soaked. If you carry a lighter, make sure you put a rubber band around it so it doesn't discharge. So that little lever doesn't. Sue apparently knows. Yes, tortilla chips. Also fat wood, cedar. If you pull some of that bark down, that's a really good way to start a fire. So he even gave me just a votive to carry. I had to lighten his pack. It was too much. But there are, I found this Gerber Bear Grylls survival kit, and it comes with the little baby flint and a pocket knife and a sewing kit and dental floss and some parachute cord and a cotton ball. I thought it was pretty good. I don't remember how much it was, but it was probably just like $20. But it gave me a tiny flint and a better, smaller knife. So it was well worth it for me.
Perfect. I want to read out some of the comments just for people who will watch the recording. Sometimes their comments don't come through. So we've also had a comment from Orrin Kennedy that he or she, sorry, Orrin, I don't know, carries a road ID with their health history. Yeah, so an ID, it's a great idea, extra beaners and a waterproof camera. Dennis letting people know that sometimes those fire starter rods will dissolve in salt water. And Christy mentioning that she carries a packet of peanut butter in her PFD for emergency protein. I also carry peanut butter with honey. And then there's a fair bit of conversation about, using the walkie-talkies, not using the walkie-talkies, and just testing them. Oh, and one person is saying that they did use them on the river once, but the sound of the river interfered with communication. It made it difficult to hear. Yeah. And then emergency response beacons. Great if you're out of cell range and invasive species tag if your boat is over 10 feet. Yes. I guess that one thing that I have in my life jacket that hasn't been mentioned is my good luck charm. I always carry. I have my little good luck charm. It goes with me everywhere. Anyone else? Has anyone else Does anyone else have something else in their life jacket that hasn't yet been mentioned? Skull cap. That's a good one. Spoon, also a good one. Can't eat everything with that knife.
That's true. So,
Oh my gosh, Ed. So Ed had reason to, so Ed has a small multi-tool and he had reason to lend it to Barry. Well, I want to hear about that. Did you need to lend it to Barry for a boat issue or for a food issue? Could have been either. Sue carries her meds. A screwdriver for his helmet visor. Yeah, got it. A blinker, a throw rope, an unpin kit. And then, oh, and Mari, sorry, Mari had said this earlier, but Benadryl for bee stings.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's in my first aid kit.
Chapstick, and I carry a large black trash bag.
Oh.
Dennis, what do you do with your large black trash bag other than put trash in it? That might be what it's for.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Oh, wow. What a good idea.
So I
And he carries it as an emergency poncho. Sorry for our viewers on the recording.
yeah, space blanket. Julie, we mentioned that down the leg of the dry suit for for those trips. Has anybody heard of Tear Aid? I am fairly new to Tear Aid. It's probably been 3 years since I found out about it. And there are two types, A and B. And Tear Aid is just a patch, but I was able to patch someone's dry suit who had ended up under, like, flipped in a hydraulic and a raft, and his dry suit was torn. And we were able to patch his dry suit with Tear Aid type A. It stuck to the wet dry suit. So might be something to carry. It comes in like a 5-foot roll. I just took a foot off and rolled it up and carry it in a Ziploc bag inside my bag. So I don't know. This is Comfort. I carry gasket grease. I was laughing because I went to the river with 2 things of gasket grease on Sunday. So it's 100% silicone grease, but it keeps that neck chafing to a minimum.
We were talking about that on Sunday as well. Board panel. Christy's letting folks know that the trash bag that Dennis mentioned also works for emergency cockpit cover in a pinch.
Oh,
that is also really good to know.
yeah.
Tyvek tape works also, says Dennis, and then Lee has commented that Tums for heartburn after lunch. Anything else? Shannon.
This is paracord. So it's always a great one. It doesn't stay in my PFD, but I keep it in the bag. So shoelace, someone tie on to, I did 3 of my fellow friends drain plugs one day because none of us had strings on our drain plugs. So
That's another one is corks. A lot of people carry a cork, like a wine cork, right, in their PFD in case someone loses their drain plug. It's for kayaking, of course. Dennis chimes in with a diaper pen. I could see lots of uses for a diaper pen. That's a good idea.
Brian, I did mention the rescue. Didn't I mention the rescue breather? It's in with my
I thought you did.
gloves in my everyday PFD.
Yeah. Ian likes my cork idea. Thanks, Ian. Who carries a float plan in the group? Asks Ed.
Float plan?
Yeah. Do you want to unmute yourself, Ed, and tell us more about your float plan?
Yeah, it's a Canadian thing that we use in the kayaking community. Basically, a float plan outlines the section being run where the rapids are, contact numbers, as well as it needs to be evolved to who's in the group, what color of boat they are, what color of PFD, and timeout. currently we, in Canoe Kayak Canada, Canoe Kayak BC, a float plan's required to go run a trip, an insured trip. I can find a link to an example one if you want to see one.
Sure, that'd be great.
Several that I've made up myself. Actually, I'll pop in one that I've made up for myself that I use.
Yeah. That's interesting. You know, on multi-days, I would be much more likely to have something similar. You know, certainly river maps and descriptions of rapids, that kind of thing. Though I have to admit, I rarely think about emergency contact numbers. Though like on the South Fork Salmon this summer, we did have them, but largely because we had, you know, devices that we could use to tell somebody if something went wrong.
We did that like when I had a core group of people that were like 6 of us, like we all shared our contact information. But for me, like my emergency contact is in the next boat mostly. It's not right now, but he's not right now, but he's usually with me. But we would just give that, and you know, everybody would know that we were either with them or so, and we'd all shared it. So the wives of the ones that were out paddling with us knew who was there. So
Pocket chainsaw, says Tyler. And then Christy says that she often carries a float plan and she puts it on waterproof paper.
oh yeah. I have a right as rain little notebook in my bag. So PFD pocket's just not big enough.
I know. Victor, I don't know if you're still with us. Now might be a good time for you to show us the other parts and pieces of your life jacket. Hi, Victor.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep. Nice to see you.
So that's like green jacket, which like most of you saw them or like using them. And the difference is it's got like 2 side pockets.
Yeah.
On the lower kind of side. You're like more or less regular like pocket, and it's got like really cool kind of pocket with side entrances behind the main pocket. And Astral, the maker of this, because they're making like neat throw bag just for that. It's like an amazing thing. You're sitting in the boat like someone swimming, you just like hoop, come over here, right? Not even like leaving the boat. You're just like not opening anything. You're not like reaching for anything, and it's like not in your way because guide belts, you know, you could get into some problems with that. Amazing thing. They're making 2 versions of it. One being the regular poly rope, and the other one is Spectre, like this one. And the Spectre is like 1,600 pounds. So most probably you're not going to break it even with like fetching a raft or doing a Z drag. So the other thing that I would really like to mention, which I don't see a lot in the US. I'm in the US right now. Moved in here, but I don't see it like a lot. That's like blinker, which is doing that. It's like cost $20 per instant text. Make them some other things doing that. You just basically reaching over your shoulder, screwing this like cap a little bit in, and it's like starting blinking, and you will be seen because it's like it's a marine thing. It's very bright, so like in the night it's like you will be seen. So if you will get stuck under the log, you will be seen, right? So one thing, I have a smaller blinker like on top of my helmet. So for the same purposes, it's like it's super tiny. It's just like the same thing, and it's like again like $20 or something.
Victor,
So,
are you a sea kayaker?
No, absolutely not. But I've been in problems with when like just the day becoming into dusk, and someone like running a rapid, and like then where they are, you cannot see them even if they have like a little flashlight on the helmet. It could be knocked off because it's rarely just like glued or something. It's usually just like weird construction, and they may not have it. So when I'm heading to an expedition where we have not an expedition, like to a day where we have a chance to getting into the dark, I'm just bringing 3 more headlamps, waterproof headlamps to give out to other people. Because like one thing that you will know for sure, you may be prepared as you are, but it's a group setting. So one more thing that I tend to carry always in my PFD would be the unpin kit.
Huh?
I'm just not removing it from the jacket at all, and it kind of sticks there. And the smallest ones, they fit in this like this side pocket. It's super small. It's like a couple pulleys. Because if you doing the Z drag without the pulleys, it's not really nearly as effective, but in the pinch it will work. One extra carabiner and a couple pursuits. Super neat thing to have. Then, as I have that like small throwing rope, I'm not carrying on my regular setup that like 12, 15 feet webbing, and I'm carrying instead just like a little bit of a loop. I don't know, like 6 feet. With couple winners, and it serves the same thing. You're just clipping it into your rescue harness with locking carabiner. Of course, you most probably you don't want to have non-locking carabiners on you because it's a snake hazard lane. It's like it's the big one. Under the water, you don't want it. You just like don't. You're clicking it in, you're clicking it on the other board, you're good to go. If you want to use it for something else, for example, if you just have just a coattail, you have a problem. You have just that, not like a problem, but you don't have additional flexibility because with that, like as with the webbing, I can set up a rescue session and station, sorry, and anything like that, and use a carabiner because I have on me like 5 carabiners, just in case, because for example, if I'm trying to unpin a board, I would most likely use at least 2 carabiners to spread the load between the handles, so I wouldn't just rip out the handle. And I was like, okay, now what do we do, right? Yeah, like, the same thing with the watch. We still, your usual. The watch is like super neat thing to have, and I would strongly advise anyone to have it. It's obviously a great thing. A knife, which is in this case, it has a little bit of a snag hazard, but less when most models it's so squeezed. Because first of all, it's not going to fall out. You have to push on both things. Take it out, and it's like not going anywhere, and it's ending where the pocket begins. So you could get cut, but it's 2 inches, so you could remove stuff that you got cut on like easy enough. It's like not like 3 or 4 inches or anything. And one thing that I would like think for waterproof phone case. A plug.
Yep.
Yep. I have usually a lot of new guys in my trips, so I got like just a boatload of nose plugs for them. Just nice thing to have. And one thing, like a small tiny screwdriver, which is just like this size. I just like have it like in my other life jacket. And your like kind of life capsule. So with that would be a thing with if you get stranded, left the boat, no one's around you, I don't know what happened, but like anyway, or like you're in the dark and you're like walking out because someone got like injuries and you cannot continue on the water. Just like got some meds, but the one thing that I wanted to show for like fire starting. So yeah, you may run into problem with like dissolving or anything ferro rods. So just keeping it like in an airtight container. And It's like, it's this big. That's the fire starter.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's a Carrot, that's a striker.
Yeah.
So, and it's like you could buy it from Amazon like 10, 15 bucks, $5, I don't know, like something around 10 bucks. And it's like, it's nothing. It's basically
That's
nothing. It's like,
tiny.
I think you just found your replacement, Shannon.
I think I did.
yeah, when you just like said like this tiny thing, I was like, maybe, yeah, I should do the smaller one. A fire plug for 2 fire plugs for fire starters. They work even if they wet, and it's like the same cotton thing, like with something like parabens and stuff like filled in. So you're just like fluffing it out, and it goes like for 5 minutes, I believe. So it works, in my experience, better than cheaps, and like, yeah, really good. Some meds, I got like a tourniquet, but it's like in my other PFD. And that's a flashlight which has like 600 lumens. So
Okay.
you can, it's like, it's good to, it's good enough to run rapids.
Yeah.
And it's got like a lock that's I could stick on the beak of my helmet. So
Oh.
to look it forward, it's like, and it's again, it's, I don't know, it's really small. Yeah, so that's, I think that's would be most of it. Yeah, the unpit kit is like, it's super great because you would never believe like how, I mean, like you would, most probably you saw like how boats getting like into strange places, even then the crew is like not crazy. And when it's crazy, yeah, you may need it.
Yeah.
And actually, when I saw like this like 4-3-1, someone mentioned that in the chat section. I would just say that I personally been dragging kayaks out of the sieves with basic Z drag with like 3 people, because more than that, if you have like at least 2-3 like average dudes like pulling on this, you will either break the rope or pull the handles out of a kayak before you will run out of the leverage. I don't know. So it's didn't make sense for me, but it depends on your situation, and maybe you're running, I don't know, like a sea kayak. No, I don't know why would you be in a sea kayak, but anyway, yeah, depending on your situation. Or maybe you don't, you're running like just like a group of like 2, so you wanted to do it all by yourself. I don't know, just like my thing. Yeah, that's would be it from my side.
Perfect, Victor. That was a very welcome impromptu addition to tonight's safety discussion. You now have a lot of people wondering and wanting to see your helmet, trying to figure out how you attach these things to your helmet.
Yeah,
I-
just a glue. I mean,
okay.
the thing is, okay, with a light, it's just a clip. It's just a clip on the beak. It's what's the name? Sweet Rocker. I believe that if it's like good for your head, it's like one of the coolest helmets. Really expensive, but I don't know. This one's like most probably cost you something.
Right.
And yeah, they got like just a plastic beak. So
Visor. Yeah.
yeah, and the top thing, it's 2-side. What's the name?
Oh, double stick tape.
Yeah. The thing is that you would need to check that it's a type that will not damage a clear coat on the helmet. Because if it's like a plastic helmet, no problem. But if it's a composite helmet, and for example, Sweet helmets, they have top part as a composite, you don't want to compromise that with like really strong adhesive that will damage them. That's because that's why I found this tape that's designed for that application.
Okay, perfect.
From motorcycle helmet.
Sue just says Emily has a cool little knit size waterproof wallet that she keeps all her meds and a fire starter in. All right, we're gonna have Emily show us that. Shannon, did anything come up for you or anything to add?
I like the idea of the blinker. I mean, I I don't like to get off at dark, but I guess my thing is just, we have the opportunity to carry more stuff. We have day bags. We have I carry my breakdown paddle in a dry bag in the back of my boat. And in that there's a handsaw and a rescue blanket. I also keep a pair of gloves, vacuum. I have never vacuum sealed a meal, but I've vacuum sealed so much for kayaking. I mean, I even vacuum sealed my breakdown paddle once. So, anything, I really like the blinker, and I do like that light that clips on the visor as a good option. So I guess, Victor, if you know where I can get one.
They just said it's a Princeton Tech. So now everyone's Googling Princeton Tech.
Sorry. The Princeton Tech is a blinker, and I will send the link to this chat, like, I don't know, like in a couple minutes. And the light, it's, you have like just like both load of options with lights, really a lot of them. I will send the link that's from Amazon that I use, but it's like, there are really, I don't know, like 5-10 options right now. That's really good. Just like choose one that's you have around you, and it's a bit.
Is yours waterproof, Victor?
Yeah, so I just didn't want to interrupt too much. Yes, it is, and it's really great thing because it's rechargeable, I believe. This one.
Nice.
Yeah, this one's rechargeable, and that's like one of the best things with the headlight that you use like really occasionally is to have it rechargeable. Otherwise, you will be just like double guessing if you have enough power, or you would need to charge it more, and you know, just a hassle.
Carry spare batteries.
I will send the links to chat like in a minute.
So this looks like, Sue, you're showing us, is this Emily's?
Aid kit. I think it's Emily's first aid kit.
Yeah, okay.
Who's muted still?
I don't even know if Sue realizes she's sharing it. All right, but we see it. I was going to say, Ed for the win. Everyone was talking about Ed's comment about making sure that he keeps his keys on his person. So that, well, I'll just leave it at that. He keeps his keys on his person. You can read why in the chat. He was being funny. And then, Emily is using my name. I understand. That's why there's two Sues. One's an Emily. Hi, Emily. Good to see you. All right. I think Victor's going to pop a few things into the chat. We're winding down on tonight's discussion. Do me a favor, in case people can see the chat on the recording, I never know, give a little feel better note to Teresa, if you will. Extra contact lens. Oh, good idea, Leanne. Bear belt.
Leanne, that bear belt, those are specific to those rivers.
Yeah, bear belts for certain rivers, but extra contact lenses is a really good idea. Ian, I think you learned something just because you were enthusiastically saying so over the chat. If you learned something, say, maybe tell us what you're going to add to your life jacket. Send us off by saying something nice to Teresa, letting her know we're all thinking about her. Shannon, what do you got? What's in your hand right there?
Oh, it's a belay device. We had to portage around the lower wind, the weir. So there was, and so we had to do a little climbing and a little belaying. So in order to do that run, we all, my boating group all went to the climbing gym and learned how to belay.
Oh my gosh.
So extra skill. I mean, none of this is set in stone. It's all kind of what you're doing and what day, and you know what hazards you might have. If it's not a close river or close roadside run, what should you take with you?
Yeah.
If there's wood hazards and it's a cliff, maybe you do need a belay device, or maybe you don't need to go, or you need, thinking about, a little bit more. of what might happen, what could go wrong, what you might want to be prepared for. I set out to do a run. It was only a 4-mile run, little novelty run. It was a 6-hour adventure, and we got off at dark. Like the light went away and we coasted into the eddy to get out. But everybody was all in panic because they didn't bring a snack, they didn't bring a water purifier. Like, I'm like pulling stuff out. Here you go, here you go. Think about what you might need.
Could I chime in on the belay devices?
What, Victor?
Could I chime in on the belay devices?
Sure.
You could actually use, like, as an extender, you could use a carabiner and just like a knot. So which is just basically wrapping it together. You could look it up. I mean, like, not you, but like anyone who don't know it but want to use it. And a Prusik. So basically the stuff that, for example, I got like in the PFD, and most probably you have, is enough to set you up to climb the rope and to make makeshift climbing harness. You could just like use a piece of webbing or just like to cut out a piece of your rope and do it's like butterfly makeshift. It's like, you could look it up. It's like, it's super easy. Basically, it's a butterfly, and you're using a carabiner to tighten it and lock it up. And some PFDs, for example, Green Jacket has belay loops right in sewn into them, or at least like a Green Jacket. I don't know if there are others with that. And for the belay, you could use carabiner and not. For that, it's like, it's not as good as the belay device, but it's like, it's works in pitch. So just like if the hazard is like not that imminent, you could get away with like just like, and for like climbing faster, if you need, just like a pedal to step it up and move your Prusik up, here's a pedal. It's like, it's 6 feet long, so you're just like tying it up just a bit, clicking it in your like makeshift harness, and here you have it.
Yeah, I mean, we've done the webbing trick for like creating a little saddle and belaying with that, or lowering someone with that. So this was just that we knew we were gonna have to
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you know that you're climbing, why not take the proper gear? I just like, I'm just saying that's like, in a pinch, if you have like your unpin kit and some webbing on you, you're good to go. You will climb and belay and be a middleman in this situation, no problem at all.
Yeah, totally. Oh.
Debbie, I think your comment might be a good one to send us off with, but also I just want to acknowledge Leanne's about a very compact water solution. It is iodine tablets. They don't taste great, but it's a tiny bottle, seal it up. And then Ed noting that he doesn't necessarily carry it in his PFD, but he now carries an InReach. I too am starting to carry an InReach more and more, which is why I had those emergency contact numbers, because I had the InReach.
Do you have the mini, or do you have just the straight up?
I have the mini.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Debbie says that the presentation is giving her gear acquisition syndrome, which I think is a great way to end the discussion, because one of the things that I'm realizing after tonight's discussion is that more is more. And, you can't run to the grocery store. You can't run to the pharmacy. You can't, run to the hardware store when you're in the middle of a reason that you need something that you actually had room in your boat to bring, but you didn't bring. So I too now have gear acquisition syndrome, and I'm going to do something about it. Victor just put a link to the Princeton Tech. So I'm going to stay online for another few seconds so folks can click into that link. And we're glad you learned something, Ian, and hopefully others did too. Thank you so much for joining us for another safety talk. We'll be back this time 2 weeks from now with another talk on self-support boating, how to gear up. Oh, another reason to buy gear, how to gear up and get ready for self-support trips and what it looks like and feels like to pack your boat and blah, blah, blah. We'll talk all about that in 2 weeks. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. And thank you, Shannon, for tonight's presentation.
You're very
Teresa
welcome.
would be proud.
I got a text from her. She looked like she was doing pretty good.
Oh, good. I hope I'm so glad. Thanks, everyone.
So 2 weeks, what's the date in 2 weeks?
Thank you.
You're so welcome, as always. Mari, join me in 2 weeks for the self-support one. I'm gonna need all the help I can get from the audience.
Are you running that one?
I am, because Teresa will still be in recovery mode, so
Ah, awesome. That'll
Yeah.
be exciting.
yeah, I need to go back and read all of Teresa's articles about self-support boating.
Oh, you'll do fine. Oh,
Hi, Mari. Thanks, everyone. All right. I'll see you on the river, guys.
great.
Good
Awesome.
night. Thanks, Shannon.
Good night. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hope I didn't talk too fast.
You were great.
All right. I'll let you know when we do the Tilton. So,
Please do.
all
All
right.
right. Bye.